Hello, my name is Avi, and I studied linguistics in UC Santa Barbara. I saw some videos posted on YouTube and just wanted to discuss a little. I come from California, so I have a California accent. Um, I was gonna focus mostly on accents and on phonetics. Phonetics, I forget if that comes from a Greek or Latin root, but phone is something like that. It means sound. So, let me see, where should I start? The root of the word linguistics comes from lingua, the Latin word for tongue. And although there's a lot more going on with, with language than just the tongue, it seems like the most uh, external factor that when you see someone speak, they use their tongue to make most of the sounds. And that's definitely true for how we distinguish from one sound to another, but there's also things like stress, like voice, and all kinds of other factors. Tone. Some languages use tone to distinguish a word. It can have the exact same sounds, but depending on which syllable is rising or um, it's the opposite, waning. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna try to connect the two subjects of phonetics and accents. The main aspect of an accent is the vowels that you produce, because with consonants there really isn't much variation. Sorry, I'm sick right now. Try to manage through this. There isn't much variation between consonants. They're either there or they're not there. I guess one of the biggest examples in English is an R sound. Places like New York, like Boston, I think all of Great Britain doesn't pronounce their R's when it comes after a vowel. Like, I want some butter. Like there's no, it's not butter. It's Um, so I guess I guess we'll get there later. I'll just start with some basic phonetics, the different types of sounds there are. Um, in terms of consonants, there are, I think, four different types. There's stops, fricatives, approximants, liquids, and nasals. So that's five. Um, the easiest thing to distinguish is stops from fricatives. I'll help me start getting into this. That a stop is where there's complete closure of the oral cavity, and you have like a burst of air that's coming out, and you release it right when you make the sound. Examples of stops are T, P, and K, and those are actually voiceless ones. There's also their voiced alternates. These are also stops. They're made at the same place, only you use your voice. And those are B, I forget what order I did. B, D, and G. So P and B are the same. D and uh, T are the same, and K and G are the same. Um, they have the same place of articulation between those alternates, and they're both stops, but the only difference is voiced versus voiceless. So every consonant has alternates like that. So again, stops are marked by the fact that you completely put your tongue against the roof of your mouth. Or in the case of P and B, you close your lips together so the air passage is completely blocked. Um, Next, we'll go through fricatives. Fricatives are where you basically close off the cavity, but you leave a little bit of room. And with a stop, you can't hold the sound like a T. You can't make that sound longer than even a second. It doesn't even make it a second. But with a sound, you can hold that as long as you want. It's made at the exact same point of articulation. It's called the alveolar ridge. If you make a T sound, you can feel where that is. T, D, sa, za. Those are all made at that point, and also a na is made there, a nasal sound. Um, so yeah, so a fricative, you're not making a complete block of your air passage. And just like with the stops, there are voiced alternates at the same places of articulations. So at the alveolar ridge, there's a sa and a za. Um, we don't use a I hear it now because I'm in Israel, but like a kha sound, both in Arabic and in Hebrew. That's closer to where the K is, to where a K and a G is. It's called a glottal, using your glottis. Yeah, these words are fun. Um, there's also fa and va, sha and ja. Sha and ja is called a postalveolar fricative because it's further back than the alveolar ridge. Um, Fa and Va is an interdental, I think. It's made with the teeth. Uh, oh, and Tha and The, that's in Fa and Va. Wait, no, Fa and Va is labiodental, used with the lips and the teeth. Tha and The is the interdental. It's made just inside the teeth. Um, so yeah, with the nasals, those are ma, na, and there's actually a third one that most people aren't aware of. I actually had a South Korean roommate who had that sound in his name, so I got to practice it a little. If you say the word think, if you hold that N in there and compare it to, I don't know, say thin, then you're gonna see that sounds a little bit different. Really try to listen to it. That's something I wanted to mention before also, is that when we think of language, there's all kinds of other factors that come in. For example, letters. And when you speak English, like, it becomes pretty clear that the letters don't always represent the same sounds. There's all kinds of different spellings because we took in French and German, Latin. There's all kinds of languages coming into play. So just try to think of just the sounds and just say it yourself and try to hear the difference. Um, so thin versus thing. Thing. That's like an N with a little bit of a G or a K attached to it. And actually any N in English that is followed by a G or a K is different from one that's not. So my roommate's name was Young Sung. So there was no G at the end of it. It's just an N it's like further back. The N that we normally say is articulated at the same place where you make a T, but that N is articulated at the place where you make a G or a K sound. Um, okay, so that. Now I'll actually go through the other consonants also. There's also approximants, and examples of approximants are. Why am I blanking right now? Oh, wa sound, a W. Wa is an approximant. Um, and a ya sound. And those are actually, they're called approximants because they're kind of in between vowels and consonants. Uh, so yeah, they're, oh, and there's a range of closure in the mouth. A stop is the most closed. You completely close your cavity. And actually, nasals are also stops, but the air passes through the naval passage instead of the oral when you make them. Um, then there's the fricatives. That's just one level more open. And then it's. I think then it's approximants and then it's liquids. Liquids are an L sound and R sound, la and ra. Um, and I forget which one's more open, but liquids and approximants are almost vowels. And one of the main differences between a vowel and a consonant is that with consonants, there isn't really any variation of how you're going to make it. Like I said, like, it's just you're going to make it or you're not. It's in the dialect or in the language, or it's just not. Um, Oh, one example that's contrary to that, though, I kind of like this one, is an L sound. There are two different types of L's. There's clear L's and there's dark L's. And in, I don't know if it's all of America, but at least in California, my accent, if an L starts a syllable, then it's a light one, and if it ends one, it's dark. And the difference between that is the first one is a lot more further in the mouth, and or a clear one is a lot, yeah, it's closer to the front of the mouth, and a dark L is further to the back. So let me see if I can think of two words that have the same sounds. Clue versus cool. If you try saying those and focus on what the L sounds like, there's kind of a difference, and they call it clear versus dark. And actually, one thing I remember from my accents class is that in Ireland they only have clear L's, and in Scotland they only have dark L's. Um, yeah, okay, so let me see, where was I? Oh, getting to vowels. So what I was getting at was that vowels, it's like a grid, like with consonants, they all happen at the same place. Like maybe there's, a millimeter difference between where I make my T sound and where you do. But, that's not that huge. But with a vowel, like it's vowels are the most open sounds, and like your mouth is completely open, especially the ah sound. The ah is pretty much the most open your mouth gets to make any sound. Uh, so yeah. Sorry, I'm also sick. I'm just losing my train of thought. And it's early in the morning, chilling here in Jerusalem. Okay, anyway. Uh, awesome. Oh yeah, so basically, there's any number of different, it's like so open, the space in your mouth, and there's so few vowels that they can just sound differently. Uh, like an E sound, my tongue is just kind of holding itself in a spot, and that's where I got used to doing that. But maybe someone else, even from the same dialect region as me, someone else from Southern California, will make it in a completely different place, and like it sounds pretty much the same, but there's a lot of differences. So the vowels are made by either raising the front part of your tongue, and by front, to me, front is the closest part of the mouth, um, and or there's also vowels that are made by raising the back part, and a couple by the middle. And these are just in English. There's also a lot of alternatives. Like for example, in English, the back vowels, and I'll explain later how you figure out what's a back vowel versus front vowel. Um, in oo and in o, you round your lips to make them. If you look in the mirror and say oo, you're gonna see that your lips make a little circle, as opposed to front vowels in English and actually most other vowels, where like e, a, ah, your lips aren't rounded. But I learned German. In German, for the E and the A, they have a rounded alternate. So it's E, A. Um, yeah, go into the dynamics of the vowels of English. Basically, what it looks like, I'm going to start. Wait, where's the camera? Okay, I'm going to start at the. Sorry, it's hard working backwards here. Is this gonna make sense? Don't really use cameras that much. Oh man, I gotta do this backwards. Okay, this is gonna be fun. Which way am I going? That way. Okay. So basically, it looks like a grid that's gonna start at the top, and it keeps moving down and back. So this is the top of the front of the mouth. We're gonna go down, 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 and back, and then we're gonna come across to the back, and then that's gonna go up. So it looks like a little bowl kind of that we're making in the mouth. Starting with an E sound, that's the furthest front and the furthest forward. It goes E, uh, yeah, E, I, A, A, and then drop to the back, and you got ah, ah, o, oo, and then in the middle, in English there, or in my dialect, there's also another